Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. My name is Stephan Kane. I'm here with Xuefei Yang, and it's such a pleasure to have you. Xuefei, how are you?
Hello, Stephen. Nice to see you on Zoom. Yeah, I'm good.
Well, thank you for that excellent concert. What a joy it was. The setting and the filmography and the sound, especially. I wanted to ask, what was it like to play in that space?
Well, a mixture of feelings because I never played in that hall, and I was there for a party in a smaller room. In the beginning you can see I was rehearsing in a, it's called a paper room, where the monk used to print papers. And then when Richard asked me this to film a concert in a historical place, this temple was the first place I thought about, because it's very rare to play a concert in a historical building in China. Usually the concert halls are very big, very modern, and the old places are for, it's not easy to go in. So I think the atmosphere was really quite special for me. You can imagine that the old pillars, how many stories they can tell, how many things they witness. And also the audience, they were kind of invited audience. A lot of them are musicians, some of them are not musicians, but they are very cultured. So yes, so it's a kind of excitement mixed with some, when you do something for the first time, you always have a little bit, how to say, being anxious because you don't know, you're not familiar with it. So it's a mixture feeling, but yeah, but I think it went well in the end. And and also I came back to UK already when they were doing the videos. And the sound guy, he was very experienced, but he's mainly working in the pop music field. And you know that people have a very different concept working in the classical music and the pop music. They seem to have a different kind of idea in the sound. So I listen on computer, a speaker, dry speaker, wet speaker, and every device, and then I communicated back to him. So anyway, I think that in the end, the sound was okay. Because you know that it's always like when you play live, it's kind of one sound. And then when it was recorded, then you can create hundreds of different sounds, afterwards. It's just never the same. And then they depend on what device you're listening to. So just
Mm-hmm. Did it have like a natural reverb in the space?
actually, it was such a busy day. I was there, and then lots of people I knew, so I didn't even have chance to try the natural sound. I would like to try the natural sound one day, but I think that probably with a little bit of amplification, it sounded a bit more spacious. Yes.
Yeah,
So
it was really well balanced in that small man. Gosh, it's such a good sounding guitar, especially when you play it too. I
oh,
know
thank you.
you were with us in the live chat, which was such a pleasure for us. You were very interactive in giving us information on each piece and movement. And someone commented on your high C that you have on your guitar and how
Yeah,
clear.
yeah. Because I thought that we cannot just sit here complain that our classical music, don't have enough audience. We have to do something to make audience engaged. So I think particularly I played some probably unknown Chinese music to the audience in the West, and if they know what's the music about, it would help them a lot to appreciate the music. So I think it's important, particularly that Chinese music are very descriptive. So I think it's important to let people know what they are about. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. All right, so let's open it up to questions from the audience. I have a lot of people here who saw the concert, and let's see what questions they have. Thank you all for being here with us. Please add your questions for Xuefei in the live chat, and I'll share them with her. So let's get started. Bill Gross is asking, is it easier for you to practice at home or on the road?
I think easier to practice at home, probably. Yeah, because when you're on the road, I can be tired, and jet lag. Um, yeah, definitely at home is more comfortable, but you have to be disciplined not to or have a drink next minute or watch TV next minute. So
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of temptations when you're at home.
yes, exactly. But I mean, you can have more resources to refer to. Like I can try on different guitars, and if I need to look for a particular score, I can do that. On the road, it's always harder to reach to resources. Yeah, definitely at home.
Great. Someone is actually asking, what's that instrument hanging from your wall behind you?
Oh, that's a Turkish instrument. This one is a decoration. Well, you can play it. It's called Saz. I bought it from Istanbul. Oh, it's not in tune. It's really yeah. So it's really so as a decoration. Yeah, Turkish. Yeah.
It definitely looks neat.
Yeah.
All right. So another person's asking, Falcos01 is asking, will you publish some of your arrangements soon, like the Bach concertos?
Yes. Yes. Actually, I have a lot of transcriptions. I'm thinking first I need to. Oh, Bach one probably be more straightforward because it's a public domain. With the more contemporary ones, you need to sort out the copyright issue with the copyright holders. And also with the world is fast changing, I haven't decided whether I should go with publisher or just do it myself, and a lot of work involved. But yes, but definitely because I have a lot of transcriptions, and yes, I would like to publish now. Just need to figure out how.
Right. And some of your more contemporary works, I know you said in the live chat that the composer for the piece Lake Baikal, is that how you say it?
Yes, yes.
Was actually
Oh,
in the
that
audience?
one. Yeah, that one first I had his permission, so that's good because for a popular song like that, it's very expensive to publish or perform, Yeah, yeah, but he's a friend, so luckily he gave me the permission. So and he was in the audience. He liked the transcription, so I was happy.
Great. Yeah. All right. Let's see who else has a question. We have from Lexi Chen wants to know what easy or intermediate Chinese pieces for guitar are there? She said that she's learned Lagrima now, but she would love to play some Chinese pieces in the future as she
Mm.
improves. Where could she find sheet music?
Actually, I can't remember the author, but someone did a kind of easy to intermediate book of Chinese music and published by Melbay, I think. The author sent me a book, but I couldn't remember the name. But I'm pretty sure it's Melbay. Yeah, Melbay.
No, Bay.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah. And also, I did a collection for what's the name? Canadian publisher. What's it called? It's quite late, it's 4 o'clock. Doberman, yes.
Oh,
So I
Doberman.
did a collection of books. There's easy ones, an intermediate one, and more difficult ones. And in each of the book, I've included some Chinese pieces, including some easy ones. And I believe they have e-versions on their website. Yeah.
Okay, so she just searched in Google
Oh,
Chinese pieces for
yeah.
guitar.
For those books, I have the information on my website. It's called Learn and Conquer with Xuefei, I think. Yeah, it's been quite a few years. So, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I actually wanted to know about that too. So thank you, Lexi, for that question.
Oh, good.
All right. So Kobe Harker is asking, Shufei, what keeps you inspired when working on big projects, especially during this time of the pandemic?
Okay, good question. Actually, I think to working on some projects that actually helped me to conquer the anxieties in the pandemic, because when you are sometimes I feel like, oh, I wanted to have a holiday today, watch movies and all that stuff. Actually, when you're not doing things, you feel, how to say, I mean, I feel anxious in this period. And when you're focusing on something, and it's better. So I actually think when you're doing some project, it's definitely helping, especially something to do with music. But I have so many things I want to do. So I felt like I never short of ideas, and never short of things I want to do. So that's a good thing. But sometimes it's hard to turn ideas to action, to actions. Um, but I guess that when you want to do something very, very badly, then probably you will turn it to action. For example, my latest big project was the Sketches of China album, which released last year. It was really biggest project so far I've ever done, and I wanted to do this for so many years. Back to 2008, I wanted to do that, but with EMI Records, they were not very enthusiastic. They thought Chinese music is a kind of too niche for a mainstream audience. So I did half Spanish, half Chinese in the end. But now I think the time is more ready for me also as a musician. I've collected lots of experiences working from other musicians and knowing the cultures and from my own transcribing experiences. So I think the timing is more ready. And also it's a timing that when people from all over the world, they wanted to know, they're willing to know more culture from China. Well, it's before I think it's very much neglected. So I think it's a good timing on the whole, and I worked I worked very hard to make this album happen. Well, now I'm moving on to next project. Yeah.
So can people find that album on all the major streaming
Oh,
platforms? Yeah,
yes, everywhere in the West, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, everywhere. Yes.
great. Excellent. All right. So CB Tutor, a frequent Q&A attendee here, is asking, the sound of your Smallman guitar was just amazing. How do you decide which guitar
Mm.
to use depending on the venue and concert?
Yes, that's right. I do have quite a few guitars. I have to say that for live concert, I usually play Smallman because I find it's funny that some people say that, oh, Smallman guitar is just loud. Two things. I mean, first, I mean, when you say a guitar is loud, I will always say that it's like talking about cat and the bears. A guitar is just like a cat. If a certain guitar is louder, I say it's like a fat cat, and it's still not a bear. And then the cello is a bear. So even a guitar is loud, but it's still a guitar. It's not going to be that loud. It's not comparable to piano or cello. Secondly, it being loud, it is definitely a good thing, for a performers. If you talk to a for example string player, they will say that they definitely need a volume from a good instrument, especially playing with the orchestra. Even that, okay, we guitarists, we nowadays use amplification when we play concerto, but still, that power and that articulation, the natural one from your instrument, it's still there. Even you use the amplification, it's still important. The power is important. And also, I think that for me, that I played the Smallman guitar for more than 20 years. I say that the Smallman guitar is not just loud. I mean, you certainly can make it very sensitive. You can produce lots of colors. It's just up to you, how to make it. I think the harder thing on the cedar guitar, like Smallman, and it's very resonant. The harder thing is when it's very resonant, the color changes you do kind of hidden in the resonance. While it's spruce guitar is cleaner, so the colors you do is more obvious. I think that's the main difference. But still, it's still very much dependent on how you control it. At the same time, I do like other guitars too. I think that the most ideal way would be that we use different guitars to match different style of music. However, that's not possible in a live concert. I can only take no more than two guitars. Nowadays, you cannot even take one guitar on the plane, so it's very difficult. Plus that when I actually did play two guitars in a concert, you have to look after two guitars, tune both of them. It's just very stressful. And also on stage, when you swap guitars, they all feel very, very differently, so it can be quite stressful because you need that, it's very sensitive, when you play on stage. So swap instruments can be an extra stress. So I tend to just use different guitars in the recordings, because in the recording studios, you have time to, tune the guitars and to get used to the feel of the guitars. And also for some other, the smaller volume the guitar, it come across nicely in the recording. So I have played many different guitars in recordings.
I absolutely agree. In a concert setting, you need to have a guitar that produces enough power for an instrument that's already kind of, quiet compared to, say, a violin or basically any other
Yeah.
classical.
Yes,
Uh,
you definitely need that dynamic. Yeah.
when you are in a recording session and you say you go to a different guitar, what other types of guitar makers do you usually tend to gravitate towards?
What type of guitar makers did you say?
Or, yeah, what other guitars other than the Smallman do you
Yeah,
like?
so I have used, it depends on what I have at the moment, and occasionally I borrowed one. So Spruce guitar I use quite a lot, like the Paul Fisher guitar, which is very different from Smallman. And also it's a little bit smaller, the neck's a little bit smaller. So sometimes when I play transcriptions, especially piano transcriptions or Bach transcriptions, they're really stretchy on the hand. But I wanted to focus on the music. I don't want to, how to say, let this stretchiness or technical issues get in the way from the music makings. And it depends on the pieces. I say I have another guitar which is in Beijing. It has this very woody sound. It's from Australia as well, so it's suited to play certain pieces. So yeah, so it really depends on pieces. And I've borrowed guitars from friends because I cannot own so many guitars, but at the same time I enjoy playing different guitars. Sometimes they give me inspiration. So sometimes when I could, I borrow one, borrow one from other people, and then they are happy their guitar being played. Yeah.
Very nice.
Like I borrowed the Romanilios and from a friend, and Flata, and
Mhm.
some other guitars, quite a few.
I remember seeing your video on Instagram. You were playing the Romanios guitar. Didn't you play that
Oh
outside in the garden?
yeah, can't remember which one. I think I would try the many guitars. Yeah,
Tip of my
yeah,
tongue, but
yeah.
all right. So the other another person asked, George Sheldon loves your tone quality and wants to know what strings are you using, and
Yeah.
also if you have any tips for the rest of us. I'm assuming if that's just specifically for what types of strings to use or tips in general. It's kind of a broad topic, but let's just start with the strings.
Well, I think the strings again, it depends on your guitar. For me, that for my Smallman, the Dario string works the best, especially I use the polished one. It's called what is called EP. The polished strings, because the polished string they reduce the squeakiness, and for me that to make things legato, lyricism is very important. So I don't want to lift up my fingers just because of of the squeaks. So those polished string really worked, and also they are quite bright, the polished string. And my Smallman is very mellow. You probably didn't feel from this video, because the sound it's very mellow. So this bright string works well. But at the same time, I find some like the non-polished string worked better on other guitars, or some string works well on some other people's guitar. So it's like I think it's a bit like wearing clothes. You might look good in suit, and she might look good in a dress. So yeah. So for me, I always use the Dario. Yeah.
Are you a hard tension or a normal tension player?
Right. For concert, I need high tension, and for recording, I use 45. Because in the recording studios, you don't need that much volume, and even if you do, it will be compressed afterwards. But at the same time, with softer tension, it's much easier to do the nuances and the vibratos. I've tried to use 45 on stage, and I felt that you just naturally try to play louder. It's like when you're in a big venue, you try to speak louder, and I find the 45 is a little bit too soft. But at the same time, I tried 44 as well, extra half tension, but that's a bit too much. Yeah, so 46 for live and 45 for recording. That's for me. Yeah.
Great. Now we know your secrets. I'm just kidding.
Well, no secret.
All
Yeah.
right. So the next question actually is by, I'm just going to say the last name, Chen. My
Oh.
apologies. Question: do you also play other instruments for fun in your spare time now? I know you played piano back in the conservatory.
Yes, yes. Piano wasn't my choice. It was a compulsory instrument in the Central Conservatoire. Uh, I don't play any other instrument. I sometimes thinking about I definitely wanted to play a melodical instrument, say cello. Cello definitely my favorite, except for guitar. But then I have nails. It's hard to hold the bow. So I thought, oh, maybe I should do some singing, but I don't have a big range. My voice doesn't have big range. So I thought, maybe I stick to guitar, let the guitar sing. But that's also why I chose 6 songs to sing on my guitar for my new upcoming EP. I thought that stick to what I'm good at. Yeah.
Jiachu, excuse me, Runyun Zhang is asking the sword dance, the sword song you play, is one of his favorites transcribed from the Chinese traditional music. Could you share a little bit more about this piece? I know you're very active in the live chat when you're playing it, but how did you come to choose this piece to transcribe from? Was it the
Yeah.
pipa, the guitar, or?
Actually, the smaller pipa. It's a smaller pipa. It's called the liuqin. So it's a 4-stringed plucked instrument, but much higher than pipa. I remembered when I was young, I heard this piece and I was quite impressed. It's like immediately take you to a different world. And when I was looking into the repertoire, somehow I remembered this piece and I thought, they have 4 strings. I have 6 strings, so that should be doable. And plus that Chinese instruments usually they have less harmonies, because of the structure of the instrument, because of the nature of the music. But they can do a lot more colors on single line on one note. That's the character. So I thought, I could do that on my guitar, but actually it proved that those 2 extra strings are very troublesome. Sometimes I wish I had less when I play these pipa piece or liuqin piece. Anyway, so yes, still I think it fits on guitar very well. I think that basically, I know the instrument, although I don't play any Chinese instruments, but I was in Central Conservatoire for 10 years and I was in the boarding school in the first 6 years. My roommates, some of them were Chinese instrumentalists. So you heard these sounds all the time. So I was familiar with that. So I have this imagination in my head and I thought that this piece could work on the guitar. So I figured it out. That's the process. Yeah.
Yeah, it really has so many fascinating parts all throughout it. And the energy that you are able to do on the guitar with that piece is just really remarkable.
I think that on their instruments, the advantage they have is on pipa they use a fake nail. On liuqin also sometimes use pick, and also the strings are kind of metal strings. So when they do this kind of like a fighting, well, like how to say, like kung fu kind of piece, it can be very not aggressive. It can be very exciting, but also very articulated and very strong. And I thought that it's kind of impossible to have the same sound because we are using human nails, and on the nylon strings. But anyway, I think you catch that spirit. If you catch the spirit, then it's enough. So I think in this piece, I think I could manage that. I have to be careful, a little bit careful with my nails. But yes, but the thing is, I think once you've heard some things and you've seen it's like if you travel to many countries, you've seen lots of different things and you've heard lots of kind of music, and then your imagination expands, and that helps you playing. But if you never heard anything, if you never seen anything, then you wouldn't even imagine such a sound existed. I don't know if it makes sense. So for me that, I've heard that kind of sound, so I knew that what I could create. Yeah. Actually, for that sword dance, I think on the spruce guitar might work better because it's less resonant, and it's for a brighter sound, and the less resonance would work better. But I can't choose. I can't use another guitar in the concert. Yeah.
On the spruce guitar, you said?
Sorry.
On the spruce guitar, you think it works?
Yes. Yes, I think on the kind of I think on the spruce guitar might work even better. Yeah.
Speaking about nails, Matt Richards is asking, how do you care for your right hand nails?
Well, I think a few things. I think that I'm kind of getting used to not use my right hand to do those dangerous things, like zips, or use the right hand to take some papers in the bag. That's very dangerous. But then I do find one thing helps is that I always put some lotion on the nails, especially in the winter. Every time after I wash the hands, I put something on. And I remembered once I didn't take my hand lotion. I didn't put on anything on my nails after washing. It split. I don't know if it's coincidence or what, but for me that works. And if I do play around West or Spanish piece with strummings, I put some nail varnish tool. I think it helps. Yeah. And also I think that it seems like I feel like for me that when I played a lot, and then my nails seem to get used to my playing, so they become stronger. That's my feeling. I don't know if it's true or not. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems logical.
Hmm.
I have heard also that moisturizing your cuticles every night can really help, like you were saying.
Yeah, I think that I believe that too, because that's the supporter of your nails. So.
Do you have any plans to return to the U.S.? I'm sure you do, at least for the Omni
Yeah.
Foundation. You were here,
Yes.
actually, you performed live as one of the last live performances before the pandemic started, and you're a regular on the Omni series, so we'll definitely look
Yes.
forward to you back
San
in person.
Francisco is my favorite in the US. Yeah, definitely. I have a few concerts planned in January, but I don't know about there's so many difficulties. There are so many difficulties nowadays for traveling, the quarantine rules, and the less choices of flights. Yeah, so hopefully I can travel to the US soon. Yeah.
Great. Let's see. Kyushi Lee. Actually, I think this person I know personally. He's asking, would
Oh,
you give any kinds of suggestions for the beginners?
a suggestion to beginners.
Yes.
Well, I think I think that to have a good teacher is quite important. I think that because when you just started, if you are on a bad path, afterwards it's hard to, if you write something already on a white paper and then you wipe it off and rewrite, that's going to be harder than get it right first time around. So I say that to have a good teacher to get your technique and posture and everything on the right track is very important. And then the other two important thing I can think about is stick to it because I think it's probably more than 50% of the beginners they would just give up after 1 week. They say, "Oh, my left hand is hurting," and then I'll just give up, which is a shame. And so to help you to keep to help you keep going, I say that try to play something you enjoy. That's very, very important all the way along. I think from beginners to even professional people. But as beginners, it's very easy to give up. So I say that always try to find something that you enjoy and stick to it.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Kishi. You're on the right track. All right, so next person, Kobe Harker, is asking, what would be your advice to someone pursuing a career as a classical guitarist?
My advice. Oh, you know, before I would say that it's just like, but I say that you have to love what you do, and keep doing what you love. That is still true. I would still say that. However, I find that it's a bit, how to say, cliche, because just love what you do and keep doing it is probably not enough. I wanted to give some warnings to anybody want to pursue playing classical guitar as let's say concert guitarist. It's not going to be easy, but at the same time, nothing is easy. So I think that probably be prepared for all the difficulties on the road. But I say that, but if you love what you do enough and you are strong enough, so you'll probably find a way to conquer the difficulties. But then if you're not strong enough, or you don't love the thing you do enough, and you probably find it too difficult and too much suffering. So and also I guess that nowadays, I mean, there are more choices and then there are more paths. If 20 years ago you think that I go to play a certain amount of concerts to make a living, and that's probably hard. But nowadays there are different paths. There are more choices to make, so everybody can find their own path and then find their own route. So yeah, so in the end, I think back to the old sayings. enjoy what you do and keep going. Yeah.
How did your path lead you to the classical guitar? What got you sparked to it?
Well, that was a long and difficult one, because I didn't even know that could be a path for me to play the guitar, because I didn't even know what a guitar was when I just started. My parents wanted me to play a instrument, and they thought about accordion. But there was a guitar group in my primary school, so they just put me in the guitar group, and I didn't even know what a guitar was. It's a very long story, but I cut it short. Then they found that I was talented, and then I got a chance to play in a bigger event, and then my later teacher told me that I should go to the conservatory to have formal training, but there wasn't guitar faculty in any of the conservatories or music schools in China. So I entered the middle school attached to the Central Conservatory of Music as an unofficial guitar student. My parents were not very unhappy because they were teachers. They wanted me to go to actually I was offered a place at a very good school, but I had to give it up and enter the conservatory middle school attached to the conservatory as an unofficial student and pay a big fee. And then not knowing in the future, so it was, not looking back, I've chosen a very risky path because there's nobody before me they've taken this path. And then when I entered my adulthood, I started to feel anxious and confused and worried about my future. When you were younger, you don't think about those things, and when you, how to say, adult, and you started to think about futures. But anyway, luckily, I mean, I'm here where I am, where I am, and it's beyond what I could have imagined when I was young. So I mean, I work hard and I got lots of support and I got luck. So you just need to tick every box, I think. But I'm lucky.
Yes, and you also have an incredible amount of ambition and discipline, which brings us to our next person. R.A. is saying, hello, Xuefei. Thank you for the concert. My question for you is, have you ever used your knowledge from another discipline to help you master the guitar? If yes, could you please share what it is?
Yeah, so I used my knowledge and then the rest. Yeah.
Have you ever, do you believe that you've been able to use your knowledge from perhaps another discipline other than the
Oh,
guitar? Maybe something that you've studied or spent time developing, or a hobby or some kind of experience,
oh,
and how you've
hmm,
related it to your overall development as a musician, as a guitarist.
right. That's an interesting question. Um, I haven't really given lots of thoughts, but I'm sure there are. For example, I think that well, it's not a knowledge. Let's say if you do some exercise, that probably helps. I think like I find that saying that I need to revive to my exercise because I haven't been doing it. Let's say that if you do regular exercise, it's not only okay, it's not knowledge, but I mean, I'm going going away from the question. It helps you physically and help you mentally because you, as I said, you need to be strong. You need to be strong physically and you need to be strong mentally to deal with a career and to deal with life, basically. So I think that doing the exercise that helps. And also, I think saying that though, I think that I do want to explore more in the how to say in, for example, meditation, or even the Chinese Tai Chi. I had that interest because that I think that could help. You know, I think to a very to a certain stage, the control is in here is mental, and that's actually quite hard. I mean, the early stage is all physical, and then the higher stage, and then you realize it's all here. And the here is the hardest control. Uh, so in a way, I actually am looking for some ways that I could strengthen my mental control. um, but I haven't started. I think I wanted to try Tai Chi. When I was in Beijing that day, someone told me that doing Tai Chi really helped mental focus and strength and things like that. So meditation helps. So I think that I probably need to explore that area a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of us could find help
Mm.
with that. Jennifer Trowbridge, who is part of the Omni team here, she's asking, "Thank you, Xuefei, for your beautiful concert. I wonder if you studied the pipa. How did you learn all the different strumming techniques for your arrangements of Chinese music?"
Well, I didn't really study specifically, but I do find that knowing a bit of the flamenco strumming helps. I can't say I can't play flamenco, because you need improvise. I played a few pieces, and also those techniques are very useful for playing Spanish music too. Because on classical guitar we have a large repertoire of Spanish music, and then there's always uh, elements, always inspiration drawn from the flamenco music. And when they have the variety of strummings and rasgueros, that's really, really helpful. And then when I was researching the Chinese music, I found that, for example, pipa, they have strummings as well. But they play this way, use fake, and it's very, very articulated and very strong, very penetrating. So I thought that, so I cannot imitate their technique because it's different way of playing. But again, I think the sound is important. I think first, I always think that first you need to form this imagination of sound in your head, and then use whatever you can to realize that sound in your head. So that's what I do. So saying that, the more, how do you say, it's like I always say in my master class, it's like a painting. If you can have a palette that you have many colors, you have many colors, and then when you draw a painting, then you have more choices. So these strokes and this strumming basic is like my tools. The more I have, the better. That's why I think that the flamenco way of strumming, or the oriental way, sometimes I hear the sound or I see how they play. Maybe I don't do exactly the same, but if I can do a little bit, that's another tool I have. And then when I play my piece, I just choose my tools to fit in the sound I wanted to create. So that's the process. But of course, I'm trying to expand my tools. So during the preparation of the sketches of China, because I did some research of the sound on the Chinese instrument, or even on the other Oriental instrument from the Middle East, like saz, they all have the old plucked instruments. So this kind of, they use pick a lot. We don't use pick, but we have nails. I have to be careful with not damaging my nails. So it's all kind of a plucked sound. And then I try to kind of create some different kind of playing to realize that sound. So that's what I do. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. For the sake of time, I'm going to skip ahead, and if we have time, I'll come back and catch some of these other ones. But this person, Ari, is, as a young student, what did you do to make your practice more engaging? How did you stay motivated to practice?
That's useful because we all kind of get tired sometimes. For me, there's a few things getting me motivated. Always find some new pieces to play. I mean, I have a great curiosity that helps. Sometimes I hear a piece and I thought, oh, that sounds beautiful. I want to give it a try. So especially nowadays, you can find lots of music of the public domain pieces online, and now give it a try this, try that. And to be honest, that's another reason that my sight reading is quite good because I've always wanted to try new pieces. So that kind of forced me to learn quite quickly. And also playing with other musicians, it kind of forced to learn quickly. The other thing is try on different instruments, sometimes, and also try at different venues or rooms, let's say, because say that you might get tired of this one particular sound on the one particular guitar and always in this one room. So I use another guitar and I go to another room and then the sound is very different, or even play in the garden, if the neighbor's not complaining, or if you can take your guitar, if you're in a school, try some different venues, some bigger ones to fill the space. So that's how I get myself interested, keep something fresh. I mean, if you don't have many guitars, maybe you can exchange guitars. I don't know if it's a good idea. But then for me, of course, then if I have concerts coming up, I have to practice, because that feeling of playing badly on stage is just terrible, So probably in the end of the day, the biggest motivation is playing well in front of audience and to bring joy to the audience. That's the biggest motivation. Yeah.
Right, and it's one thing to play a piece by yourself and another entirely to perform it. I know Benjamin Verdery has said whenever he plays a piece by Bach, he has to perform it in simulated little sessions for his trusted colleagues at least 12 times. That's like the
how many
minimum.
times I don't know, but definitely you need to yes, experiment in front of audience, because you never know what it's going to feel like to play a new piece in front of people. So
Let's see. There's another person asking, Matt Richards, do you have any quick advice regarding tremolo technique? For example, like in the Barrios El Sueño, it really touched his heart.
oh, thank you. Practice tremolo. Well, I mean, I did practice when I was younger using metronome. But I think that first you have to find your problem, because I can't see what's the name playing. So I mean, it's I think importantly you have to figure out your problem. I find that a lot of people playing the tremolo on the guitar, they don't have enough dynamic. It's just the tremolo should be the singer, and the bass should be the accompaniment. That should, but a lot of people playing the other way around. The tremolo is too weak, and then the bass is too loud. And if it was a singer, he would be annoyed. I think he would, or she would be annoyed. So I say that. So for some people it's the volume, and for some people it's the evenness. Maybe some people's A fingers be weaker, some people's I fingers be weaker, and for some people that is not even. So first you have to figure out what was your problem. For example, like when I watched my video, I thought, oh gosh, my eye finger seems moving quite a lot these days. I need to pay some attention to it, because when you're trying to play loud, it's just inevitably going to move a lot. But I have to be careful with that. So I think that you figure out your particular problem, and then you can plan a strategy to practice. Say at the early stage, I think you can use metronome to set up different tempos to train your fingers, basically to train your fingers. And nowadays I don't practice tremolo. It's like a cycling. Once you know it, you just ride it. So I think in the end, again, it's like a tool. I wanted to use it whatever whatever way I wanted to use it. So that's the best end result. So until you can feel so freely using your tremolo, you need to practice and finding your problem. Where is the problem? And then draw a plan. I say that. Yeah.
Right. Working out the technical obstacles to achieve the musical goals that you have.
Freedom. Yes. For example, if your eye finger is too weak, then maybe you can, when you practice slowly, you can put an accent on eye finger particularly. And you can use lots of different volume exercise. You can, if your tremolo is not loud enough, you can particularly strengthen the volume on the tremolo. Treat them as a single note, But I say that in the end, you need to feel utterly free using your tools to create the music.
Yeah, and I had commented on your recording of the Concerto de Aranjuez, the second movement, and the cadenza and how it has a giant build to the extremely fast rasgueados.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated your ability to crescendo that section, like really from small
I'm actually glad people. Yeah, I'm glad people notice it, because sometimes, to be honest, I sometimes felt a little bit frustrated about our dynamic range. Particularly working with other musicians. They're more intense. Piano, string players, and they have a bigger dynamic range. So I always say that, okay, on our guitar, we don't have the same loudness, but we can figure out a way to create this feel. I think in the end of the day, it's a feel. You don't have to be that loud, but you can create the feel. So I have to, if I really want to do that crescendo, I really have to plan. So I build up. I don't let you feel the loudness from early on. Like a movie. I will keep you to the climax, and until then, I use layers. And it's not, and in the end of the day, it's the feeling of excitement, or it's not just a volume. You can use articulation, you can use layers, and you can use colors. You can use different things to create that feeling. It's not just being forte. So in other words, if I in Aranjuez, I actually thought about how to build up that process, and the Rasguedo. I also thought about how to make it maximize the climax. We can use articulation, the maybe a bit brighter colors. Articulation is very important, because you can only do so loud, and then you'll break your nail, if you go over the volume. But I think it's very important to reach that climax. So I think. So I work it out. Yeah.
This actually brings us to another question. Lexi Chen is asking, what do you think about while performing, and what do you think about to create an interpretation?
What do I think about? Sorry, I didn't catch.
What do you think about while performing, and what do you think about to create an interpretation?
What while performing, you mean?
Like when you're performing music on the guitar.
Yeah. While performing. I see. Yeah. The best scenario is not to think about the audience and others, but in a small setting, it's kind of quite hard. They are just under your eyes. Well, I try to think about the music. Sometimes it's hard to describe. It's not a story, or it's not a particular person, or it's not like a movie. I think it's more like a mood. That's why sometimes I feel like when I close my eyes, it's a bit easier to be in the mood, but then you have to be careful with your precision with the hand. So I think it's more like really focus on the music. Yeah, but I don't think about particular stories or maybe sometimes it could be a feel or colors, or a sense of environment. But focus on the music. That's what I try to do. If my mind go off the music, that's dangerous.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. That makes a lot of sense. with all of this playing that you're doing and the fast techniques that you're doing to convey music from the pipa and so forth, and the tremolo and all of this demanding music on the hands overall. What do you do to keep your hands healthy? Do you stick with any warm-up routines or stretches?
I try to, I try to, especially I think when you get older, you need to be even more careful. So I think warm up, it is important. It's like basically, I think about athletes, think about what they do. Athletes get injured very, very easily. So they definitely do warm up, and then they do regularly and warm down. Oh, I don't do warm down, but I mean, what I try to do is not crazy. Like when when I was a student, I could be like not playing for a week, and then suddenly I got inspired and I play 6 hours a day. I think that's probably not good for the hand. Warm up is important. And also, I mean, I don't think that you need to give all the energy and to give all when you practice. I don't. I mean, sometimes I keep it to performance, but then at the same time you have to try, because when you give it all, it's very different on the fingers when you play from when you, how to say, reserved your energy. So I think that it's a balance. Yeah, I say that one thing I want to say is find a comfortable guitar. I think that's very important, because I find that some guitars are just some Spanish guitars are just so big, and I that's why I have a smaller guitar to practice, those hard things. Why I have to use a big guitar to practice. I mean, pianists, they all have to play the same piano, but we can choose a more comfortable guitar for our hands. Why not, Yeah, so I do something. So I use comfortable guitar to practice difficult things. And also I try to not practice too much in one sessions. And also pieces, I think be careful when you play some very, very difficult pieces. That's demanding on both hands. That can be dangerous when you practice a lot on the difficult piece. I once practiced on the Bach piece, keyboard partita. I find it so stretchy on my hand. It's so beautiful, but it's so stretchy on my hand. And then someone told me that he got injured from practice that piece, and I stopped immediately. Yeah.
Oh, red flag. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed that every once in a while you'll see a guitarist perhaps use like a capo on the first or second fret to reduce the stretches and things. Maybe it's for box music. Have you ever explored using a capo?
Well, when I play the flamenco music and some Renaissance music, yeah, John Dolan, I do, of course. But I think that it can be. I mean, if you just practice with a capo and then you take it out, it can be very confusing. It's really confusing. Plus, the sound is very different. So I mean, it's okay if you want to try, it's fine. But for me, that I'd rather to use a smaller guitar. I say that, for example, if you can have those 19th century romantic guitar, they are smaller and also they're softer. So you feel a lot easier, and then a lot easier, but also you have a very different feeling on playing them. It's just seems very easier to make shape. Do the particularly when play romantic music, you can do lots of vibrato, but also play baroque music on them. It feel very different. Like having a softer, like on those baroque violins. So I think that I would suggest using that instead of using cable. Yeah, cable.
Thanks for that. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Smaller guitar, that way you can stay in the standard tuning.
Yeah,
Seems
yeah.
better.
It's confusing using cable.
Okay, so I know it's extremely late there, and so let's just finish up with one or two more. And so let's see. This person, Amir Tak, is asking, how long does it take for a professional like yourself to prepare an hour of recital program from scratch, from the ground up?
Yeah, that's really depends. It depends on the pieces. I mean, some pieces takes longer. Some pieces shorter, and also it's dependent on the memory things, like for example, if I play chamber music, I don't have to memorize, then it's then I'm very quick with it. When you have to memorize, it makes the preparation probably 5 times more. And also there's a difference between how ready you are. I mean, you could be ready just to play them, or you could be ready that they are in your blood. There's different levels. And as I say, it depends on the pieces. Some pieces maybe it's it's a bit shorter, smaller pieces are probably a bit easier to prepare. But those complicated pieces like sonatas, baroque music, Bach always hard to memorize. So it really depends. Yeah. And also, I mean, how ready is ready? When you play the first time, you might feel okay, and then when you play the 10 times, you would feel a lot better. And then you stopped for 10 years, then you revisit, and things could be different again. It's always changing. There's no such thing like, I feel like after so many years of performing experiences, I find that there's no such thing that it stay there. It's like the Chinese eating, it's always changing. You might think one piece, I played perfect this time, but the next time they might not be perfect again. It's changing all the time. But then that's what makes life fascinating, I guess. Yes, it's not staying the same all the time.
It keeps it interesting and fresh. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, that's right, and keeps you working.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we can bring it to a close. One lighthearted question someone had a while back. They wanted to know, and also I want to know. I noticed that you have quite a CD collection behind you. Is that?
Yeah.
Do you still have something to play those on?
Sorry?
Do you still play those? Do you still
Yeah,
listen to
good
those?
question. Lesser and lesser, I have to say. Yeah. I mean, I still like to get hold of CD, because as an artist myself, I feel that, like my CD, from the cover design, I mean, I didn't design it, but from the choice of the photos to the liner notes to, what photos I want to take. This whole thing is one complete artistic idea. So in a way, I would like to present this whole package to my audience, and I would like to see other people's whole artistic package. However, nowadays I do enjoy this new way of listening, on Spotify or Apple Music. You just, wanted to relax. Want to relax, I just go on a late night jazz playlist, just or create my own playlist, and you connect the playlist to a speaker, and then great qualities. But occasionally, I mean, still sometimes I do put a CD in the hi-fi and just play them, and then just replay it. So I think it's just nowadays we have more choices to listen to CDs. You would still buy the CD and listen to them, but you have other choices, and you can listen to them on YouTube. So just a lot of choices. Yeah.
Right, and
But
there is that.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But I think this CD, the physical CD, is really the complete artistic idea, and I think that should be still there. I hope. I hope they won't die. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a sentimental value with that. I
Mm,
think, people
mm.
want to have something tangible to bring back with them when they see you live, or something to generate the memory of them seeing you. So whether
Exactly.
it's in CD form, or I see some musicians nowadays, they still have the CD artwork and the liner notes and everything, but it's instead they'll give you like a download code or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, some streaming site has that pretty good. It's very important, and I think the liner notes, I really wish people read it. I spent lots of time writing it, because then you not only get to know the inside of the piece, but also about why we played, and why we choose it, and how we feel about it. So I think it is important.
Yeah.
The liner notes, yeah, yeah.
Beautifully said. Well, thank you. That was fantastic. That was really nice talking with you again, and for sharing. Thank you for sharing everything with us, all of your knowledge and information, and all your tips and tricks and secrets that you have to play the guitar so well. And I just want to thank you again on behalf of the Omni Foundation and everyone here who watched all the time you took to produce and present this concert and share it with all of us, and for getting up extra early or staying up super late. I'm not sure what you did. You're over there in London, which is, what time is it there now? It must be around 5 a.m. or so.
It's all right.
Gosh, yeah. Okay.
Time to
Well,
miss. Yeah.
I hope you don't have a big day planned ahead. I hope you can have a
Well,
chance to take a long nap
the
and
bank
just
holiday. It's all right. Thank you,
yeah.
Stephen. Thanks to the Omni Foundation. Just this is really good series on location, and thanks to everyone who watched the concert. I really appreciated it.
Yeah, thank you everyone for watching the concert and sticking around and sharing your questions with Xuefei. It was very, very appreciated. All right, well, with that, I wish you a very pleasant evening, early morning, and until next time, we hope to see you back in San Francisco very soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.